This is the Above Average Podcast, and you are listening because you want an above average life. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Above Average Podcast, the podcast where we talk to above average people about their above average lives. Now, my guest today is a published model, content creator, influencer, and OnlyFans content creator, as well as a big believer in spirituality, including the practices of mindfulness and divination, which I have no idea what it is, so I'm excited to hear all about this. Please welcome Katy Shutt to the show. How are you, Katy?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, I'm good. I'm very excited to be here. This is your first in-person podcast, yes?
It is. I'm very excited.
I love popping people's first-time podcast cherries. So, let's take you back a bit first of all. So, you trained ballet for 16 years, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how did all that start, and what age were you when you began?
I think I was about 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my parents put me in a dance class. So I was doing ballet, tap, disco, jazz, like all of the dances.
Yeah.
And then when I was about 11 or 12, I was like, I want to do ballet. So I went to a proper ballet academy and I trained there up until I was 18. And then when I was 18, there was nowhere else to go.
I've completed this. I've completed ballet.
I did all my exams. I did all the shows. And then the next step would have been to go to ballet school. But my teacher at the time told me I wasn't prepared enough to go.
Wow. After 16 years, you weren't prepared enough to go?
Yeah, she said if I went to the ballet academy a year earlier, I would have been more prepared and she could have trained me properly. But because I went a year later, I kind of missed that sort of slot. But
Oh, that's a shame. That's not very nice of her to say that. But so what was your favourite kind of dance when you were doing that?
ballet.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I love ballet.
Do you still practice it now? Could you still do it if we asked you to pirouette and stuff? Or
Yeah, but not very good.
Yeah, no. Dance was never my thing. It was always after at least 6 cocktails could I finally pull out a John Travolta.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much everyone's.
Yeah.
But from that, after that, obviously age 18, is that when you went down the sort of fitness route?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so how did you first get into that? Were you trained? Obviously, you've got to be quite strong and athletic anyway to be a dancer.
Yeah.
Was that part of the training as well, or did you just fully embrace the fitness side?
Once I finished my ballet, I was like sat and I was like, well, what can I do now?
Yeah.
Because I was used to going to dance class every Friday night and all day Saturday and then practicing all through the week. So I signed up and got a membership at the local leisure centre where a lot of people start out at.
Yeah.
And I remember scrolling on my Instagram and I seen this woman competing and I was like, wow, she looks amazing.
Yeah.
So that must have just, I mean, obviously I remember it so well, but that must have sparked something. And I was like, I want to do this. So I kind of it took a couple of years to kind of get to the point where I was maybe fully going towards that goal. I had a PT and then lockdown happened and yeah.
Yeah. Did you continue training just from home during lockdown? Did you have your own home setup and stuff?
I did. I bought an Argos gym set, like a free weight set for £100 from Facebook Marketplace when it was meant to be 35, 40 quid.
Oh yeah, everyone put the prices up there.
It was ridiculous. So yeah, I bought one of them. I had some dumbbells. I had a big barbell and loads of resistance bands. And then I was just videoing myself every single day through lockdown doing all these workouts, and I managed to grow my Instagram somehow. It just blew off.
Oh, so that's what really started the sort of influencer side of things. Yeah, nice. Mm-hmm. Was it just obviously, were you guiding people through workouts, or were you saying this is just what I do?
A bit of both. So I was doing 5 exercises for your abs, or this is try this workout, or I was doing this is what I'm doing. People really seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, you're suck it, Joe Wicks.
Yeah, yeah. I was the Joe Wicks of Newcastle.
Nice. How intensely were you training, sort of obviously pre-lockdown and stuff? Were you obviously you were inspired by this woman who was obviously jacked and competing? Was that a goal of yours to actually get on the stage?
Yes, it was. But before lockdown, I didn't really have I wasn't really involved in the bodybuilding industry as much as what I came to be involved. So I had a personal trainer. My goal was every other woman, I want to lose belly fat and grow my bum. Obviously that's not a thing. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. And so I was with her, and then lockdown happened, and I started skipping.
I did the same. And it sucks.
Yeah, horrible.
It's horrible. Did you get shin splints as well?
No, I ended up in A&E with...
That's worse than what I had to get rid of.
I ended up in A&E because I'd like done something to my ankle, like the ligaments in my ankles. So yeah, so I was like, maybe I should stop the skipping. But I actually ended up dropping quite a lot of body fat. And I ended up like a little twig. Like I was skinny. Like,
what were you like before that? Were you in decent shape or?
Through my ballet, kind of, but I mean, ballet comes with eating disorders.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So when I finished, I was like, well, because I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't really know like what foods to eat, how much I should be eating, and I wasn't doing half as much exercise as what I used to be doing. Yeah. So I did put some body fat on, and then I went to uni as well for a year, and living as a uni student, I mean, I was ordering Domino's every day.
Yeah, you don't eat well as a uni student, no.
So when just before lockdown happened, I was maybe had the most body fat that I've ever had, and I didn't like hate the way I looked. I just wanted to feel better within myself.
Yeah. I mean, during lockdown, it was a hard time because I'd been training for a few years before that, and then thankfully I had a weight bench in the house that I never used. I had to blow the dust off it and like actually build the thing, and some dumbbells. Me and my brother trained like every day, and we made like a YouTube video on it, like a coach in quarantine, because I thought it would be cool and stuff. But honestly, it just nothing compares to the gym. But I think the gym culture has changed a bit since lockdown. But also in recent years, I've noticed everyone sort of, you're dodging tripods now in front of the mirrors, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm in someone's shot, whatever. I've just started pulling like the most horrendous faces. Like I know I'm in the background, I'm like Shrek in the background. But do you think that's a good step for gym culture, that everyone's sort of showing off a little bit more, or do you think it's kind of like we've devolved a little bit?
I don't know. It can be really positive when it's done properly. I don't like filming myself. I find it such a hassle because I want to focus on my training. Yeah. And I think if you're focusing on your training and you just happen to have someone there filming or a tripod filming you, and you're still like working your ass off, then that's no problem. Yeah. But it's the people who are going in and like doing half-assed and like not really caring about the gym. Yeah. I'm very precious of the gym.
Yeah. So. I can tell. I mean, for the most part, it's actually dudes that I've seen doing this more than women in the gym I train at least anyway. It's just like, honestly, broccoli haired teenagers that are doing it. And I'm like, I hate to tell you, bro, but there's no meat on your bones. Like, you don't need to be filming yourself just yet. Yeah. Well, I suppose that's a bit judgmental. They could be documenting a journey from like, being really skinny to being really big, which is fair. But I think a lot of them just do it so they've got something to post on social media nowadays.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got nothing against it. I've been around quite a few different gyms, and there's been people. So I used to train at Ultraflex, which is, in my opinion, one of the best bodybuilding gyms in the northeast, and people there who were filming were still training hard. Yeah, like they were training so hard. So to film there and to still see people training as hard as they can, I get that. But when you go to a more maybe commercial gym and you see people filming just for the sake of filming, just to post it on social media, then it's a little bit different. I
hate watching myself work out. I hate it. I don't even like looking in the mirrors because I'm like, oh, the faces that I pull. Like, you have an image in your head of what you're going to look like doing a squat, and then when you actually look back, it's like Shrek taking a shit. It's like, and then But so in terms of like the women, like you mentioned before, obviously wanting like bigger bums, less stomach fat. So women are the ones who tend to voice more about their bodies, I think, in general, more than men. Men just kind of be like, oh, I just want to be big or whatever. But then they'll go in the gym and they've got like a big beer belly and not really care. So in terms of like the myths that women come out with, like what have you found in your own personal opinion, like that women come out with that you're like, that's wrong, do this instead?
I mean, the biggest one, it's a very common one, is that weight training makes you look like a man. It doesn't. because men and women's bodies are so different, and the way that a woman's body grows muscle, unless you're using steroids, you're not going to get anywhere near looking like a man at all.
You're also going to get 5 o'clock shadow as well if you do that. So.
That's also very, very true. So, yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, this is something that really is bugging me at the moment in the gym, is all the girls are going in the training glutes, and it's glutes all of the time. And they don't train the legs, they don't train their upper body, they don't train the back. It's just glutes. Yeah. Because I think there's such like a culture on social media at the moment of I need a big bum. Yeah. And that really, like, I've myself felt really pressured by that. And I can't imagine how like other girls who are going in and who are filming every single day and whose Instagrams are fully like, I train my glutes, I've got really good glutes. Yeah. Like, but women need to, anyone who goes to the gym, they need to train the whole body. Yeah. It's like a guy going in and just training biceps. Eventually you're going to look really out of proportion and weird. And like, this is obviously no hate, but some of these girls, they're looking like they actually have just had a BBL. And I get it. If that's the look that you want to go for, that's absolutely like no problem. It doesn't affect me what someone else looks like. Yeah. Just for a clarification, that's a Brazilian butt lift, right? Is that correct? Yes. Yes. But yeah, I think everyone just needs to train everything. Yeah, it's got to be a full body lifestyle. It can't just be like, okay, now I want this part to look good. I'll just train that and not train anything else. Because then you're going to be like, well, okay, now my legs look weirdly in proportion, so I'm just going to train legs. And then you're going to look like a weird sort of caricature, aren't you? You know what I mean? It's weird. And what happens when this goes out of fashion? Because it will. Yeah. I feel like Kim Kardashian started the whole big bum trend, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Everyone wants a Kim K bum. Yeah. Everyone does. I mean, it's important to have a good peach, ladies and gentlemen. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting a good peach. But, you know, don't train that at the expense of everything else. But so when we spoke on the phone, you mentioned that you found it pretty difficult in your life to have a quote-unquote normal job. Like, you just didn't feel like you were built for it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I feel like some people are built to stand out. Some people are made to, you know, be above the average, as we say on this podcast, right? So where did that sort of mentality come from you? When did you sort of realize that you were like, fuck this 9-to-5 normal job stuff? I think originally it stemmed from ballet, wanting to be a professional ballet dancer, because that's not a normal job. That's not a 9-to-5. You would constantly in class doing loads of stuff. Yeah, you've got time scales and stuff like that, but you're in control of yourself. Yeah. And then again, it was when it was coming to choosing what I wanted to do at uni. Had no idea. And I ended up going with a course that I did feel passionate about. I went with paediatric nursing. Okay. And I felt really passionate about it, but once I actually got there, and the stuff was so interesting, but once I got there, I was like, this is great. But like, especially in my placement where I was doing a placement in the hospital, I hated it. And honestly, like, it makes you have so much more respect for the nurses. Nurses go in and they absolutely love it. But for me personally, I was like, I can't stay in the same place for 12 hours. Yeah. And not like, and go home at the end of the day and be so exhausted that I can't do anything that I'm passionate about. Yeah. Well, it sounds like with this stuff, it sounds like, because I've brought this up quite a few times now, and it always sounds like we're shitting on people who do normal jobs. That's not it at all. Oh God, no, it's absolutely like, not. Both of them come with their own challenges, whether you want to be a creative type, like say me or you, or you want to just, you know, you've got your job, you've got your family, and you love it. That's fine. There's nothing against that. It's just, you've got to pick where you feel like you're called to, I guess. Definitely. And then obviously lockdown happened, so that was when I dropped out of nursing. And I started getting into fitness, so I was like, okay, let's go back to uni, because, you know, pressure of the parents. Yeah. You need a degree. That's a whole other subject as well. Oh my God. So I went and I did sports and exercise science. Oh my God, I hated it. It's all well and good going in the gym. When you start learning the ins and outs, you're like, fucking hell. I hated it. Yeah. So I ended up doing 2 years, and then the student loan people came at us and were like, you can't finish your course, you've already done your 3 years of student loans. So I was like, well, what do I do now? So I started PTing, had a job in a gym, started up my own little beauty business, which I loved. And then last year I had a normal job, and I was working 9 to 5. Oh, it broke down my soul.
What was the job?
I was a hyperbaric oxygen chamber technician.
Holy shit. You call that a normal job?
Well, it isn't.
The hours were normal, the job isn't, yeah.
Yeah, no, the hours were normal. The job, it was so... I love learning new things. But it was just... It was the hours that I was working, the 9 to 5. And then I was going to the gym at 5 o'clock when it was so busy. And like... It was such a great opportunity. I was so grateful to get that opportunity, but working for somebody else is not... It made us miserable.
Yeah.
Every single time I've tried to do it, it just wasn't it.
Do you ever think maybe I've got a problem with authority kind of thing? Because I've felt that
no,
in
I
time.
do.
Yeah. Who the fuck are you telling me what to do?
I hate being told what to do.
Yeah.
To an extent, obviously, I'm going to listen to people and like
take on feedback and stuff.
Take it in, but I just prefer doing my own thing and being in charge of my own life and where I'm going to go. And I think maybe if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I've had.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for the life that I have now and all the opportunities that I get. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a while to build that up. Were you doing PT and the beauty thing at the same time?
No. So I was PTing for maybe 2-3-ish years. And then I stopped and I was working at the desk, behind the desk in that gym.
Okay.
And then I said to the owner of the gym, I was like, I want to start up a beauty business. And he's like, well, there's a room there for you.
Nice. That's handy.
So I obviously made up the plans, got funding, and started up this business. I was just started doing like eyelashes, eyebrows at first. And then I trained in aesthetics, which was crazy because it led us right back to nursing. And I loved it. I really enjoyed the training. But I started doing it and I was terrified in case anything went wrong. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you're in charge of like needles and all sorts of...
I was terrified. So I was like, I don't feel 100% comfortable or confident in myself because I'm so scared that if I do something wrong, I'm going to get a lawsuit. That was the biggest fear. So I was like, I'm just going to stop. Like, I can't. So I actually stopped that business. It was open for about 5 or 6 months.
Okay.
But
I saw your picture with the certificate where you're all happy and stuff.
It was one of the best experiences. I went down to Manchester for a week, trained at the Manchester School of Aesthetics, and met some of the people there are so lovely. And came back and I ordered everything, was getting models in, practice on, but every single time I was like, oh, like what happens if this happens, or what happens if that happens? And I couldn't.
Yeah, living with anxiety. Yeah.
So, and like I would go home at the end of the day and be so worried that like someone was gonna text us and be like, my mouth's gone black.
Yeah.
Like
my teeth have started falling out. Yeah,
that was such a fear.
Interesting that. So in terms of like, obviously, you said that like you prefer to work for yourself and stuff. Would you have done these practices, or did you do these practices on yourself? Like with the needles and stuff, did you ever do that, or did you get someone to do that? I was gonna say, would you have done it? Do you think? Like, is that a thing that you could have done? I'm just curious because obviously you wanted to be in control of your own life and stuff, but you didn't like that you had control over somebody else's sort of thing. I'm trying to connect some dots there.
I'm qualified in Botox, so I could do Botox on myself if I wanted to. And it's like a tiny needle, but I would feel probably more comfortable someone else doing it, just the angles and stuff like that.
Were you filming everything in your life at this point as well? Like, were you planning on obviously growing social media at this point, or obviously you've got to do it for a business wise, but what kind of stuff were you posting then?
Just general stuff like photos after I trained, going on nights out, like just very like everyday
life stuff. Yeah.
I mean, at this point I'd lost my big Instagram account.
Yeah, well, skipping ahead a little bit, but it was around then. Obviously, it was 36,000. Was it you had on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel still a pain in your eyes. Oh.
So annoying.
How did that happen?
I don't know. So the story goes, this is hilarious. So one day I opened the cupboard in the kitchen to get out my peanut butter. The peanut butter dropped out, smashed my phone. So I was without a phone. So I was logging into my Instagram on my friend's phone.
Oh, okay.
So I was logging in and out. So I don't know if maybe that triggered something.
Okay, yeah.
So when I finally got a new phone, I tried logging in. It was like, you have been logged out. Please reset your password.
No.
So I tried. Nothing. It wouldn't let us reset my password. And I was like, oh, well, okay. And then I moved past it. But now I'm really annoyed that I've lost it.
I was going to say, there's no way in that moment I would have been that calm.
I don't
I'd have been
know
like,
why
oh, you
it was calm.
fucking kid. I'm 7 years or something deep into my Instagram now. And I'm only, like, I'm just under, like, 2,000. And I'm like, it's took me 7 years to get 2,000. I'm like, fucking hell. So
it's so annoying. It's so long.
It's because Instagram isn't the same as it used to be.
No.
In terms of growth. Like, it's very difficult now because everyone wants to be an influencer. Mm-hmm. Everyone's posting their life. It used to be, oh, here's a picture of my dog. And then you had some standout people like yourself. Mm-hmm. But now it's like everyone wants to be an influencer life.
Yeah. And then also, I built my Instagram through lockdown. Where I could focus on it every single day.
And everyone's just on their phones.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, like, now I don't have the luxury of everyone doing that. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit more difficult, but
yeah. So, but now you're an influencer and creator full time,
yes. Correct?
Yeah. So, how long has it taken you since then, obviously, to make that a full time living? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
No. Well, I quit my normal job, back in July last year. Mm-hmm. And then I've just been building it ever since. I've had help from some really good people who have been involved in the industry and some advice from some really good people. And I've just been like looking at what everyone else does and seeing what I can do, what I like and what I can sort of copy from theirs.
Yeah. So obviously for anyone listening who might want to follow in your footsteps, what sort of things do you recommend them do?
It depends on the trends, but I mean, TikTok's obviously huge.
Yeah.
I hate TikTok with a passion.
What do you mean you don't want to do dance trends? You're a ballet dancer.
I hate it. I'm like an Instagram girl.
Yeah.
I think I didn't get into the TikTok trend through lockdown and stuff. But TikTok has some trends that people follow. Mm-hmm. And if you follow the trends on TikTok, you're more likely to be seen by a lot of people. I mean, for example, yesterday I posted one that was like a trend on TikTok and it's gotten us to like 16,000 views overnight.
Jesus.
And I'm like, all right, okay.
What was the trend?
It was actually relating to lockdown.
Oh, okay.
So because lockdown was 5 years ago, it was like me in March 2020.
I think I've seen these. Yeah.
Me in March 2025. Yeah. So it was literally just something so simple, just 2 photos with some text over the top of it. It took us 2 minutes.
Trends
to do.
are so weird what takes off, but it's like I've never obviously I don't know whether you've looked at my TikTok, but I don't dance on mine. No. And I don't follow trends. I think I'm comfortably over 1,000 followers now. I'm actually on what's that Chinese app called? I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that and butcher the language, but I'm on some Chinese app as well, and I'm doing quite well in China. So hi to my friends from China. So there we go. But in terms of TikTok and stuff, I'll just post this stuff because on one hand, obviously, if you want to go down the influencer life, chasing the trends, doing what like the top people are doing, I think is really good.
Yeah.
But for what I'm doing, it doesn't. This podcast talking to influential people doesn't suit me to start doing like, you know, voiceovers or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it depends which route you want to go down. 100%. But I think you got to pick a niche and what you specialize in and be sure that you are really competent in that area. Yeah. And people will follow you for that area. But I think as well, in terms of you, like people want to see the insides of your life, I suppose. Probably a bit more interesting than mine.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say also as well, like being authentic is really important. Yeah. So hard to not, it's so easy to not be authentic on social media. But people like the realness. I feel like that's quite like a thing that's trending at the moment. Yeah. People don't want to see like the glitz and glam of like people's best moments. People want to see everything. Yeah. People are nosy, basically.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, well, if you think it was like years ago, before Instagram and stuff, you only had magazines to look at celebrities.
Yeah.
Now you can see like sort of, it's opened up. There used to be a peasant or you were famous. That was literally it.
Yeah.
Now there's such a wide spectrum in the middle thanks to social media. Now you can be like someone. Has anyone ever recognized you like in the street? And they were like, "Is that Katy?"
Maybe like once or twice.
Yeah. I've had it actually happen to me a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah. Or someone's been like, "Oh, I've seen the show," or they've messaged me and been like, "Oh, I saw you talk to such and such," and now like it's an interesting thing and it makes you feel quite nice. Like I've done a good service.
Yeah,
Someone
it
cares.
feels nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When someone's like, "Oh, I know who you are."
Yeah. In your case, it might be a little bit different,
Well.
which we'll get into as well. So, obviously the modeling side of stuff. Like, how did you first get into that, and what sort of modeling did you start out doing?
Was back in this time last year, actually.
Okay, so not that long.
No, maybe 2 years. I can't remember exactly, but I always wanted to do modeling. And I remember when I was little, my mum used to get phone calls to the house phone of people being like, "Hi, is this the mum of Katy Shutt?" And she'd say, "Yes, how can I help you?" And then they were like, "Oh, well, I see that she's applied for this agency." And my mum's like, "Katy, you are not doing that modelling thing."
For a minute there, I thought you were getting like cold call modeling.
No, this was like legit.
Damn.
Like I actually sat when I was like, I must have been like 14 or 15 and
Yeah.
applied. My mum was like, "No." So I was like, well, I'm old enough now. I can do it myself. No one can tell us not to.
I'm starting to see where this attitude's slowly creeping in. I'm like, I'm doing it fucking self, yeah.
So yeah, I started. It's mostly just been lingerie. I kind of fell into it, just doing lingerie to start with.
Just straight off the bat, yeah.
Yeah. And I really enjoy doing more like fashion stuff, but everyone wants lingerie. Lingerie, glamour. There are some people who want like nude shoots, and I don't do that. But yeah, I would love to go and do like a full like fashion shoot.
Yeah.
Because I've done so much of the lingerie, I'm not bored of it, but it gets a bit repetitive.
Yeah,
like,
you want some variation in it, yeah.
yeah, it's the same poses, the same kind of stuff that you're wearing, and yeah. So I started with lingerie, and then I got signed to an agency in May of last year. But most of my work's been freelance. Or people have approached me on Instagram and said, "Do you want to work together?" And I've been like, "Yeah."
Interesting. So obviously it's interesting because a lot of people will. I know like I had Chris Harris on who obviously shoots a lot of models. Do you know Chris at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love Chris. And obviously I've seen some of the models that he's had on, and they've got like, you know, a low follower count or whatever, which doesn't always mean anything, but like it's obviously looks quite hard because everyone wants to, like we said, everyone wants to be an influencer. There's loads of people want to be a model. So how have you managed to, do you think, stand out a little bit from that crowd?
I don't know.
Blind luck.
I don't know. Because I'm always aware that there are women who are more beautiful, who have more of what the photographer's looking for. I mean, for an example, I shot with this massive company on earlier this week, and I remember getting the message, and I was like, "No way, they want me?"
Yeah.
And like they've got like women like Rebecca Goodwin in this they're shooting for a calendar, like Playboy models, like big like massive women, and I was like, "Oh, they want me?"
Were you like, "Well, I guess I'll do it," yeah?
Honestly, it was the best experience I've ever had, and it was so professional. But like the whole time I was like, "This is so surreal."
Yeah.
And I feel so lucky to be given these opportunities. But it's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah. I get that, because a lot of people do say to get successful in things, it does take a little bit of blind luck almost to get lucky with stuff. In terms of like, have you ever had like obviously you said they're a professional shoot. Have you ever had any turn that weren't professional and you were kind of like, this is kind of like weird? Like, yes. Anything that you can speak about?
Yes, actually.
I feel like someone's going to get ratted out here by the sounds of it.
So some things you should know about me. I don't like rude people, and I don't like unkind people.
Okay.
So this photographer, oh my God. So this was the first ever nude photo shoot that I did.
Okay.
And only ever nude photo shoot that I did. So I go to this guy's house. He's got a full studio. It's like it's not shady or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm shooting, and I don't have massive boobs. I'm not embarrassed by it. Like, I just don't. And as I was posing away, I was already feeling a little bit vulnerable. I'm sat there.
Oh yeah, I
with
can
nothing
imagine.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
And this photographer turns to me and goes, I don't usually shoot with girls like you. They're usually really skinny and have big boobs.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh my God.
I would have grabbed everything and left.
I was
Fuck.
like, at that point, I was like, oh, I wanted to cry. I
Yeah.
felt like so like humiliated and like uncomfortable, and like I was just not, it was an awful feeling.
Yeah, Jesus.
So I stayed for the rest of the shoot. I didn't want to like cause any drama or anything like that. But he obviously didn't know how to work with my body type, because he'd worked with like slim, skinny, whatever, women with big boobs. Like,
wow.
Women who are very thin can almost be in any pose and look fine. Whereas when you've got muscle or a bit body fat, it's not as straightforward as sit on that and look sexy. You've got to make your body move in different ways.
Okay.
And
What a dick.
yeah, I was like, what?
But because I had this conversation with Chris when he was on, and I said, how do you like obviously make these models feel comfortable? And he was saying, well, they can bring someone along anytime. We talk about it first. Like, we don't have to go straight into it. If they say when we get there we don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. Like, creating that atmosphere of safety, especially if you're doing a nude shoot, is like paramount to do that.
100%.
The fuck, man.
100%.
We should name drop and get him. No, I'm just
Actually, you know what? I don't even remember his name.
Fuck this guy. Obviously, you mentioned to me earlier that you obviously were bullied when you were younger for things. Was confidence always, has it been an issue for you growing up, or?
Yeah, massively.
Which some people might sound weird now that you do obviously these lingerie shoots and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? There's a paradox there. So tell me about that.
So when I was at school, I was in a group where I always looked up at my friends who, they were skinny, they had bigger boobs, long hair, and I always looked at them and thought, wow, they look so beautiful. And then I was like the little, I've never been like bigger, but my legs have always been bigger. So when you're at school with like a skirt on and your jumper on, it looks, everything kind of like blends, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I always felt like the fat friend of the group. And it really I never obviously spoke to anyone about this because I felt embarrassed that I was feeling this way.
Right.
But then obviously that was fed more by the fact that I was left out all the time. I was picked on for stupid things like having freckles. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know all about that because I'm ginger. When I had hair, I was bright ginger, so yeah.
So yeah, I was picked on for stupid things, made fun of for stupid things, like my shoes that I was wearing. Like my friends were always getting like the latest trends or like the latest pair of shoes, and whilst we weren't bad off, we like my mum wasn't going to just go and buy us a pair of shoes just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So that carried on all the way through high school. Like, it went to like my car, my boyfriend at the time, like really like stupid stuff that like, obviously now I look at it, I'm like, why people are just, people are so unkind, especially kids are so unkind to each other.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like now with, like, because obviously, I mean, when I got my first phone when I was in year 7, and it was a Sony Ericsson flip phone. You know, you didn't take videos and pictures that often, but I can't imagine it now with social media and stuff. It'd be crazy.
Well, my youngest sister, she's 14 now. She's struggling quite a lot. She sits and scrolls on social media, and she looks at all these girls. She doesn't have a big house. She doesn't have the massive wardrobe or the expensive stuff, and like, she's really pressured by it. I mean, I was fortunate enough to not really grow up with social media until maybe I hit about 14, 15. It was just like kind of coming in. But yeah, I can imagine now it's really hard.
Because you can't escape the bullying.
You can't. You really can't. So yeah, I went through that when I was at school. And then at ballet, I was kind of like I wouldn't say popular one, but like everyone was friends with each other. Ballet was like a safe place for me to go.
Yeah.
Everyone was so kind to each other. It didn't matter if you were older or younger, or it like didn't matter about anything.
Yeah.
And then I went to uni, and like I had like a good group of like girls who I was friends with.
Yeah.
But obviously when you leave the course, it's kind of
You don't
like
go separate ways.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't really speak to them anymore. So like going to the gym and stuff, that was kind of what started building my confidence. I mean, don't get us wrong, I suffered with anxiety and depression until I was maybe like 20, quite badly, and it's taken a lot of work and a lot of like really quiet, dark, shitty times to like understand why I'm feeling the way that I am. And now I know that I can pinpoint it back to my childhood or like certain points. And I always tell myself, I love this little affirmation, I am me and that is enough.
Yeah.
I tell myself that all of the time, and I think that's really, it's so simple, but it's so powerful as well.
Yeah. I used to work for a guy called Alex, and Alex had a saying he used to get everyone to say, and he used to call it NRYNE, it's like an abbreviation, and it was no reason you're not enough.
Yeah.
And obviously as simple as that sounds, but the way he obviously abbreviated it and everything that he said with it was like, anything that comes up where you don't feel like you can do this opportunity or you deserve something, or like, you know, you fancy someone and you know they're out of my league or whatever, just that NRYNE would pop up. And it was something that we ingrained in our heads, like NRYNE. No, I don't think I can do this podcast. NRYNE. Just do it anyway.
Literally,
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good enough is good enough, I say. But a lot of people try to
100%.
be perfectionists, and perfectionists don't exist, I don't think,
No.
as much as people think they do. I think everyone that's like, oh, I'm a perfectionist, it's like, no, it's just procrastination, it's just fear, really. Like, I'm scared to not do it perfectly. It's like, well, just do little bits of it, then baby step it, you know, otherwise you're gonna get nowhere.
Yeah.
You notice that perfectionists rarely do anything amazing. It's funny that, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's so funny.
So in terms of the social media side of things, now I've had a few clips go viral, a few 100,000 clips, but nothing, it's always been the most random of shit that's gone viral. Like, just like clips where I'll just pull that up because it's a clip that I've got and I quite like it, whatever, and then it'll just go, you watch the views go up, people start talking about it. In terms of like, obviously you've made content for a number of years now, what do you think in your opinion makes a solid, good piece of content?
It depends. I've had a photo of me stood in the mirror in a pair of leggings with like my hip pushed back so that I've got a bum, and the lighting is horrendous. There's nothing, I look at this photo and I'm like, how did that photo do so well?
Yeah.
And I don't know. But then I post stuff that like on my fitness page, I used to put a lot of effort into the captions because, you know, you read that like this should be informative, people should learn something from it, it should hold value. People don't read them. Like,
TLDR, too long didn't read most of the time,
and like they sometimes did all right, but most of the times they didn't. I think people's attention spans are so short.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You need something that someone can quickly scroll past and go, that's nice, and like it.
Yeah.
You
Basically,
know what I mean?
Like, I'm out here making 1.5 minute clips, and I'm like, damn, no one's gonna watch this 1.5 minute.
People do though. Like on TikTok, I've noticed this myself because I've started getting into TikTok. I'll sit and watch like long lost families on TikTok, like a whole episode.
Well, from clip to clip, like part 1, part 75.
Like people do watch it, especially when it's like, you're like, well, I need to know what happens next.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe plays a part in kind of what's going on, or like say if something viral's happening, like I don't know, like the cyclone in Australia that's just happened.
Yeah.
So many influencers and people have been posting about it. They've been getting thousands and thousands of views and likes.
Yeah.
Because they've jumped on social media and posted and used the hashtag for the cyclone.
Do you think that's like morally grey? Do you think it's good to do that? Like, what's your opinion on that?
Depends on the information that they're putting out.
Yeah, because I'm sort of in the middle on that. Because I'm like, on one part, I get that you want to grow, and I get that it's that. I mean, if it's your full-time job to report on these things, maybe. Like, if you're a journalist influencer, I get it. But, like, for me, it makes no sense. It's just clout chasing for me, you know? It's, do you know what I mean? It's like...
From my perspective, I was wanting more and more people to post because I was so, like, I was wanting to see what's going on because the news only shows what they want. They
True.
want to show.
Yeah.
So I was looking on TikTok and I was like, well, I want to see what's happening right now. And then right now. And then I would go on like an hour later and it would still be the same videos. And I'm like, but I don't know what's
Someone
happening.
post about this now. Yeah. It's interesting that, I mean, I've like I said, I've watched, like, I went down a rabbit hole of watching Super Nanny, like part 99 of Super Nanny on TikTok and stuff.
So good.
But it's always the American one's the best. Have you seen the
Yes.
kid that runs away because he's not allowed bacon?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Fucking brilliant. That would be me. But in terms of authenticity of content, like, for me, like, I won't follow trends really, and that's probably the reason I'm not growing as fast. But I'd rather grow from this, from my genuine weirdness, from my weird sense of humor. I'd rather grow than that than try to be someone I'm not. Like, did it take you long to? Because I feel like people don't really know who they are a lot of the time. Did it take you a while to sort of work out where you fit in, like what your authentic self actually is?
Yeah, people get lost in niches. I hate niches. I hate them with a passion because, like, everyone's like, well, where do you fit in? Are you a fitness influencer? Are you with this? Are you with that? And I'm like, but I'm all of those things. So why can't I just be myself and post what I want to post?
Yeah.
And it might not happen as quickly, but I'm doing it my way and I'm doing it authentically.
Yeah.
So I think to kind of know that you don't need to fit into a specific... Everyone's so obsessed with categories.
Yes, I agree.
So you don't have to fit into a category at all. You can literally... One day you can post about fitness stuff, then the next day you can post about the dinner that you went for with your grandma.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think being authentic on social media, you can, don't get us wrong, you can be, if you want to be like a fitness influencer, that's your goal, like you want to do fitness, you can still be authentic, but don't get stuck in the trap of, well, these people are doing this. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, doing what you want to do and enjoying the content that you're making is going to lead you to create more and more content in the long term. If you hate it, then you're not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're probably not going to grow as well either, because people can sense the true
yeah,
authenticity.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, there is obviously an element to when you turn the camera on, you have to come alive a little bit, you know. Yeah, you have to be like, hi guys, welcome to my day and all this stuff. Yeah. I can't do it. I tried to do it, and I started just doing it on stories instead of actual posts because I was like, I can't do it because I don't know about you, but my brain goes like 100 miles an hour and I'm like trying to connect dots all the time. And like, I'll end up on one point and then stop making another point and then go off on tangents. Yeah, so you get it. I'm glad you understand that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'd start talking about my day and then I'd end up on some rant about South Korea or something. Do you know what I mean? It would just go nuts.
My thing is, I'll talk and I'll be like, either sat in my car or like stood at my window in my room and like I'll see a bird or something fly by and I'm like, wow.
Hi guys, so I'm currently making a smoothie. Ooh, a bird.
Honestly, that's what I'm like.
Well, obviously we want to talk about the OnlyFans side of things. So you currently post on both OnlyFans, or we're gonna have to call it OF, otherwise it might get taken down on TikTok and stuff. But you post on OF and Kinky, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what made you start those platforms? Or what got you into that world of things?
I started OF when I was 18, and I did it privately because I was scared of what other people thought.
Yeah.
So it lasted maybe like 2 months. I think I made like 200 quid from it. Not even that. And then I stopped. And then my ex-boyfriend suggested, why don't we make one? And I was like, huh. And then he was like, yeah, but like, if we do really well, we can do this, 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 and this, and this. And I'm like, oh, I like the sound of
Dude's
that.
got it all planned out, yeah.
Oh, he had it all planned out. But I had to do all the work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I created an account and it sat there for 6 months unused until about February 3 years ago, and I was like, I'm gonna start doing it.
Yeah.
So I started that, and then Kinky came about, and Kinky, the website for Kinky, like compared to OnlyFans, OF, is it's like night and day. Like there's it's OF so basic, and whereas like Kinky, there's so many different features, and it's like it's a better platform to be on.
Do you think it's going to overtake OF?
Yes, because OF's kicking off the creators from the site anyway.
Really?
Slowly, but yeah, they are.
Well, you have to tell me about it because I'm not in the OF loop.
So they tried doing it a few years ago.
I remember because they were going to go public or something and they couldn't. Yeah.
It was through lockdown, or just before lockdown had started, and then everyone was going on OF. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they were like, well, let's see how much more money we can get back in, or if it was a case of, well, there's so many people kicking up a fuss about it, we'll just leave it and we'll start doing it slowly.
Yeah.
But they are slowly starting to kick creators off the sites. And there's more creators going on to different sites as well. Like there's quite a few different sites and common sites that people use. So to think that OF is gonna stay for a long time is very naive. It was never created for this.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
People don't realize there's actually like there's podcasts on there, there's TV shows on there, yeah, because it's meant to be like a paid subscription service. Yeah.
I mean, when I was like 17, 18, I got approached by OF, and they were like, we've got a subscription service site. You can post all the content that you post on social media on here and get your fans to come and pay, and they can chat with you and see exactly what you're up to. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then obviously people started using that site for adult stuff. So it was never created for that. They don't want the platform to be that. They don't endorse the platform for that reason. Whereas other sites are made specifically for
that
adults.
Sort of content. Yes, yeah.
So like Kinky is made specifically for adult content.
Yeah, I can't imagine with a name like that it's made for anything else, to be honest. the name given away,
yeah. So yeah, I'll give it maybe about a year, maybe less.
Interesting. You heard it here first, folks. OF is shutting down.
If I'm right, I'm sorry.
You're ahead of the trend. It's fine. You've already moved on to other sites. It's cool.
I have, yes.
But obviously that's the biggest one people talk about, and that's the one people know at the minute. But it's interesting that. So obviously you said you were worried about what people were going to think when you joined these platforms. Like, is it still an issue now, or are you sort of like, fuck this?
I don't care.
Yeah. You're like, say what you want now. Yeah.
I'm very content and happy within myself that I don't pass judgment onto other people.
Yeah.
So if people want to pass judgment onto me, that's fine, but I'm not going to accept it.
Yeah.
And I'm not harming anyone. Not doing anything wrong. Like I'm just making money the way that I want to make money.
Yeah.
And I don't hate on anyone else for doing their job. So why come and hate on someone like me for literally just doing the same thing? I'm just trying to live my life.
Yeah. I actually know I was listening to a podcast the other week, and there was this OF creator. I hate having to abbreviate because my mind doesn't want to say it. But and she was like, this guy messages me on it and he just hates on me all the time. And they were like, well, he pays you to message you because you have to pay per message. Is that right?
Just for the subscription.
Oh, so you don't pay per message?
It depends if your site's free or paid, I think.
I think hers was obviously paid, but it was just like, you are paying as this man to send her hate comments. You are paying her. So I was like, that's brilliant. If people want to pay to say nasty shit about me, do it.
Oh, yeah.
Give me money and just call me a bald cunt, call me whatever you want, you know?
Yeah, I'll welcome that. If you want to come pay for it, then that's fine.
It's like you are paying to be a dick. It's great. What a great marketing strategy. I love it.
I've had that before where people have subscribed and they've just been really rude. And I'm like, what?
What's the point?
It makes me laugh because I'm like, it doesn't make sense, like logically. Like, why are you actually, why are you actually paying just to say those things?
You should be like, oh no, please don't say any more. And he's like, you're just like, money.
Literally, I'm like, well, I don't care about it, but
yeah. What sort of messages do you get on these sites?
It depends. Sometimes it's like people just wanting to have a general conversation about anything. Sometimes it's people wanting to talk about fitness. Sometimes it's people who are just looking for content and they don't really want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
It depends really. Like, people come on there for different reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people like don't really understand what the platform is. I mean, your site is just you, isn't it? There's no, like, obviously, like you said, your boyfriend had this all planned out before, but this is just you.
This is just me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, my personal view of it is sex will always sell.
Yeah.
And women are always smart to take advantage of it. It's been done since the dawn of time in many different ways. Yeah. And men will always pay for it, regardless. But I also think that what I think attracts a lot of men to OF is the personal side of it.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's not hardcore pornography. Like, I don't think you can actually post hardcore shit on OF, as far as I'm aware.
There's limits.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on the terms of service, but it's like, it's more intimate into the life of the creator. It's more personal, which I think is genius, because it's like you get that more girlfriend kind of esque experience from it. But I'm familiar with, obviously being a man, I'm familiar with the loneliness that a lot of men feel.
Yeah.
Like, and I think I've got it written here. I believe in 2018 there was a GSS study that showed that 28% of men reported zero sexual partners in the last year.
Wow.
And that rose to 33% in 2022. Those are the most recent stats. So there is a loneliness factor to men, and I think a lot of men are attracted to the OF side of things because they actually get to communicate with someone. So I think, honestly, that is kind of like a public service in that way. I don't know what your take on that is.
Yeah, I mean, on Christmas Day, I was messaging people because they were by themselves.
Wow.
And, like, I hate people being by themselves on, like, any day of the year.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But, like, I think these men, like, whether they're working and they don't have any friends or family in the area, or they've one of them had just lost one of the parents and was talking to me about it. And yes, I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that.
Go to OF, get a therapist. Yeah.
I'm like on the other side of the keyboard to kind of listen, but read and give some sort of advice, or like say, oh, I'm really sorry you're feeling that way.
Yeah.
How can we make you feel better? Not in like any sort of like sexual way on like, how can I make you feel better?
Yeah.
But like what can I do to help? The same way that I would talk to a friend is kind of the same way that I would talk to subscribers. And I think it really does help. I mean, some of them wake up every day and say good morning. Or they'll message me at the end of the day after work and tell me all about the work day.
Yeah. I think that must be nice for guys who don't have like that many options with women, or don't go around, like, because it is quite a strange world that we live in now. Because I genuinely think, apparently these studies that were done, the GSS, apparently from 2007 onwards, the dating pool for most men like really shrank.
Right.
But for the majority of men who were at the top, like sort of 5 to 1%, their pool expanded, and it was due, they believe, to social media. There's no actual proof, but there's dots that can connect.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as social media came about and you could show off your life, people were more interested in what people's online life looked like, and that's how they would make their decisions. It was like nowadays, if you're in a bar or something like that, and you don't ask for numbers anymore, it's like, can I have your Instagram or Facebook or something?
Yeah, so weird.
If someone goes, can I have your Snapchat? You're like, no, get the fuck out, you red flag. But
no.
You know, but you know what I mean? It's like it's people are more obsessed with that online world now, and it's not, you don't go up to people in bars anymore. You swipe or you DM. That's basically how most people meet nowadays. Everyone's
very obsessed with the outside of what someone looks like. And then, I mean, a lot of people are in it for the money, or they're like, see this person with this big house and they look like they've got all their eggs in the baskets.
Yeah.
But then that's just on social media, or that's just at the surface level of knowing a person.
Yeah.
But like in the grand scheme of things, if you're actually like, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as the person's a nice person, it doesn't matter how much money they earn, what car they drive, like where they live. Do you know, like, I'm very old school in my dating thing. So like, I don't care about someone's car. If it's a nice car, then no problem.
Bonus, yeah.
But like, I don't care. Like, that person could text me and say, my car's been taken away, and I'd be like, okay, well, let's walk somewhere, or we'll get the train, or like, they could one day have the nicest car ever, and then come to us next day with like, I don't know, like a Nissan Micra. No offense to anyone with a Nissan Micra. Everyone with a Nissan Micra is just like, I'm not subscribing anymore. And I wouldn't care, because I like the person, not their assets.
Yeah. I think men overblow it in their minds a lot of what, like, what status they need in life.
Yes.
And it's very, like, I know a lot of influencers who will, the classic rent a Lamborghini and stand in front of it, or I'm a forex trader. By the way, if you do forex, get the fuck off my page because you're annoying. But it's like, do you know what I mean? There's this like fakeness to it that they have to display that, and then but that shoots you in the foot later down the line when people do actually meet you and you drive a Nissan Micra instead of a Lamborghini. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that will shoot you in the foot. So it's also interesting what you were saying before about like the body types and stuff like that. Like there was another study. I love my studies. Can you tell? There was one that they showed men photos of other men and said, which one do you think women would prefer? And it was like down from like, the scrawny guy, like say Machine Gun Kelly, to like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And all the guys are like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And then they show those same photos to women, and it was more like in the mid range, sort of like Brad Pitt and Fight Club kind of vibe. Like that was the vibe they go for. So and they were like, they showed pictures of women to these men as well and said, which one do you prefer? And they were pointing out more like sort of like not Kim Kardashian now, Kim Kardashian like mid 2000s, right? Yeah. Before she had all the work done. And then women would point out like Twiggy, like really stick figure. And it's interesting in our minds what perceptions we have of what the other gender wants. It's crazy.
100%. I mean, one of my boyfriends was ripped to shreds. Like he dead muscly and great, but like I don't really care. Yeah. As long as the person's nice on the inside, I really don't care.
Eat as much donuts as you want, guys. It's fine. Katie will still go with you. Has the OF side of things ever impacted your dating life?
I don't know. I haven't really had any experience with it. Okay. Maybe, I mean, the last guy who I was dating, he found me through my Twitter account and messaged me on Instagram. So that was kind of like as a result of doing OF and stuff like that. But like, I get it. I'm very aware that maybe my job might not be everyone's cup of tea. Yeah. But I'm under the impression or thought of that this is my job. Yeah. And if you meet me now that I'm doing my job, you can't tell us to leave. I wouldn't go to you and say, leave your job. Yeah. Whereas if maybe I was with someone beforehand and I was like, I want to do OnlyFans, they're like, no, if you do OnlyFans, I'll leave you. Yeah. That's something different. But like, you're getting me. I'm not going to quit a job and like go and do something that'll make us miserable, because then that's not me anymore.
Yeah, and so what if we don't stay together? Then what am I going to do? I'm now in this job I hate without you, you know? Well, it's interesting because I know obviously you said a lot of girls did jump on the OF trend during lockdown and stuff, but and a lot of the because I was very much in the sort of alt emo scene, and a lot of those girls sort of did jump to it back then, and obviously I saw them all on Facebook and sharing links and whatnot, and they would always post like, oh, I'm in the top something percent, right? Now I wanted to look this up because I wanted to know how many users were actually on there. So in 2023 there were 4 million creators.
No way.
4 million creators, not just accounts of people but actual genuine people who had posted content. Wow. Right. So if you were in the top 1%, you were one of 40,000 content creators. That's so imagine trying to fight off 40,000 people for like subs. It's mad. Yeah. Which is why I think a lot of people thought it would be easy money. It's not easy money. No. Like you said, it takes a lot of work. Like how many hours a week, or I mean, obviously
too many.
Like how hard is it for you to produce this content?
Well, in my head, it's broken down into different parts. So we've got the actual creation of said content. And then you've got to edit the videos or edit the photos and then upload them. And then some people might just want to post as they go. Yeah. I like to schedule my posts because it makes us less stressed.
Yeah, I can get that.
And then you've got all the messages. Then you've got any requests that the subscribers give you. And then that's just your site. And then you've got the Instagram and you've got the Twitter account, and then some people use Reddit. Like, yeah, there's so many parts to one thing that people deem to be so easy. It's not that easy. It's a lot of work.
It is. No, I don't do it myself, obviously, but I know what trouble a podcast has,
Yeah.
you know? Like, when I'm doing this, obviously I'm asking you the questions, but I'm also looking at, is it still fucking recording, or the camera's working, you know? And then I've got to do the research behind you, then I've got to go edit it and timestamp it so that I can get edited into Reels, and then I've got to post. You know, there's a lot of work. It's not just, oh, I'll just sit and chat with someone for an hour and a half and then post it. It's like, no, there's a lot of time and effort goes into these things, and I don't think people appreciate it.
No.
I don't think it's appreciated enough how much
Me
content
either.
creation is.
Me either.
Let's start a revolution over this.
Appreciate our content.
Yeah, appreciate it. Go sub to Katy's OF as well.
I'm kinky.
Yeah, I have a 52% male audience, so, you know, they're all going to see you now. So,
Hi, guys.
Yeah. Commission. Sorry. So, do you, obviously, just as a final point of the dating thing, you obviously don't resent these men that have an issue with it?
Oh, no. We can crack on.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
So, obviously, you seem very chilled out. You're very secure in yourself.
Yeah.
You're very calm. You know what you're talking about, right? And obviously, you study mindfulness. You're very into, like, things like that. So, talk to me about when that sort of spiritual side of your life first took over.
2022, about that time.
Okay.
There was like a little bit at the start of the year, you know, the angel numbers and stuff like that. That's very like social media.
Yeah.
And then
I've seen all ones. Yeah.
Yeah, all the ones. And then I had a very tough month of August in 2022, and after that, I kind of like really like, you know how people sometimes lean into religion when they go through a hard time. I led into spirituality.
Yeah.
And I started like looking into it like so much, like the angels and the ancestors, and you know, like the ascended masters, the different Greek gods, like so much of it, and like vibrations, frequencies, like literally I looked into the whole thing and I was so fascinated by it, and I was like, I really believe some of the stuff that this is like saying. And it's kind of just went on from there. Obviously, it's my own interpretation of it, because there's so many different like ways that you can go about it.
Yeah.
But no, it's something that's really like, I genuinely believe in it. And I know sometimes I'm aware that people might think it sounds a bit crazy sometimes when I'm like, oh yeah, like people come and talk to us, no one else can hear them, it's in my head. I'm mentally sound.
Yeah. Just to clarify,
yeah.
She doesn't do tarot card readings on her OF, it's fine.
Actually, that would probably be a...
You're like, actually, I do.
That would probably be a hit, you know. I might start doing that.
Honestly, I'm gonna start taking commission from these ideas I get people on this show, honestly.
But yeah, no, I've really... it's something that it's part of my everyday life. I don't really think about it most of the time.
Yeah. In terms of like meditation, like how big does that play in your life?
I meditate every day, and then when I go to sleep on a night time, I put like a hypnosis on or like a meditation on, and I listen to that while I sleep.
Like a guided one, or just white noise?
It depends.
songs?
Whatever's on like my refresh page. I'm not going to go and search for like something very specific, but it could be like some hertz, like some frequencies, or it could be a guided one. Kind of just depends really on what's on my page and what
I fell out of love with meditation for a while, and then when I went back to it, there was always something about... I analysed this myself. So when I was younger, I used to love when I went on holiday, and I would always fall asleep on the beach on the deck chairs, and the sound of the waves and the sort of beach noises always just made me go to peace. So that was the track that I used to listen to. And I went back after maybe it's a year and a half of not listening to it, and I went back on and I thought, YouTube, play headphones in, iMask on, and then it got to like maybe, I think it was like a 20-minute meditation, and it got to like the 11-minute mark, and then I got blasted by an Argos advert and shit my pants.
It's nothing worse.
I was like, why have you put adverts on a meditation track?
Nothing worse.
Idiots. But I like now I'm like, there's apps like Calm you can use.
Yeah.
Even Spotify has some as well.
Yeah, they do.
Which is great. But I think people underestimate the power of actually just sitting doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because how often do we do that these days?
We don't. Like, if you're scrolling on your phone.
Yeah.
Or even if you sat eating your food, you're probably watching something on your phone or on the TV. Like, no one actually sits in silence and listens. And that's like, it's scary. It's scary to do it. Because, I mean, to sit and listen to your own thoughts and to actually let them run through your head.
Yeah.
There can be quite like damaging thoughts, especially if you're going through a tough time or like you're really beating yourself up about something. But in order to get past something, you have to let yourself process it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we used to do.
You didn't have TVs. We didn't have
Yeah,
phones.
we didn't have
We sat by a fire with our friends and sometimes just staring at the fire. Like,
yeah, and that was like people's meditation time or like thinking time. Like it's really, really beneficial.
Yeah. I use a term called thinkitation. I don't know whether you've ever heard that. So it's
Thinkitation.
basically, yeah. So it's like, obviously, you know when you go to bed
Yes.
and you're lying there and you've got, like, your brain just starts to process as you're trying to go to sleep, and it's
So
the most
annoying.
it's the most unhelpful thing that your brain can ever do.
Yeah.
Whereas if you take 20 minutes during the day to just sit, but like rather than, like, a lot of people think, well, I can't stop thinking to do meditation. If you just were like, I'm gonna just sit and think, because if you think about it, people think, oh well, all I do is think. It's like, no, you don't. You're always thinking, but you're always distracted at the same time.
Yeah.
You're processing information in a really like high energy way, but you're also looking at your phone, looking at the TV, laptop, having a conversation, whatever. If you sit and just focus on your thoughts, see what comes up,
Yeah.
you'll find you sleep better at night because your brain's
Yeah.
caught up. It's like, imagine if you were doing all the editing that you do, and you've got this here and soundtrack here and, you know, clips and stuff, and then like you just like let it play through. It's like, oh, peace.
Yeah.
My brain's caught up now, you know.
I mean, sometimes like if there's a lot on my mind or like if something happened and I'm like, ugh, and I don't want to sit and think about it, I'll get a bit of paper and a pen and I'll write it all down. It's the same process. You're still thinking.
Yeah.
You're just getting it all onto paper, and then usually I'll rip it up and burn it, or I'll rip it up and I'll put it in the bin. Because
Yeah.
then once them thoughts are out of my brain on this bit of paper, I can see them, and then I can physically rip them up, as if to say like, these were really negative thoughts. I don't want to have those thoughts anymore, so I'm going to get them out of my brain, and I'm literally going to rip them up
Yeah.
and put them in the bin. That's really beneficial as well.
Yeah, I think I was just before lockdown hit. So September 2019 it was. I went to a men's retreat in Florida.
Oh my god,
And
how
it
was
was
that?
so good. It was a guy called Elliot Hulls. I don't know whether you know him in the strength space.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, so he was big in sort of the gym world and stuff. He was one of the OG YouTubers anyway.
Yeah.
And so he called it grounding camp, and it was just for men. So men went. We did loads of meditation. It was like, I actually came back and started teaching that meditation because I loved it so much. Like
Really?
screaming meditation and stuff. Yeah.
Screaming?
Yeah, I'll show you afterwards. I won't do it in front of you, but I'll show you the video. I've got videos of it.
I'm a bit scared
Just
for that
screaming at you, yeah. But no, it was great. And basically what we did was he got us to do a few different spiritual practices as well, with
Yeah.
the different forms of meditation. But one of the most powerful things I found was, the first one was, because we all had our own accommodation and whatnot, and he says, after this session, I want you to go all walk back to your accommodation in silence. It was like in the big forest retreat, basically. Go back. I was part of this big house. There was maybe like 15 of us. And he said, I want you to write a letter to your mum or your mom and your dad, right? And I want you to get all your feelings about them on paper. And what came out was really surprising, because I bet no one's ever done that. No one ever likes to think ill of their parents or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it was all negative shit like, fuck you, man, fuck you. You know, it was nice stuff in there too, but it was
Yeah.
like, I've never thought about this before.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, it gave me a real appreciation for my parents, because you can always judge them, but they, for the most part, most people's parents did the best that they could with them. You know what I mean?
It's their first time here as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they may be our parents, but they're not perfect.
Yeah.
And the second thing was to draw yourself out, which I'm a terrible artist. I can't draw. So
Yeah,
I
mine
drew.
would look like Picasso or something.
It was like a stick man, and it had like, write on the parts of yourself that you don't like, things about yourself that you don't like flaws that you think of, whatever,
Yeah.
and bring them back to the main area. And then it was like 8:00 at night. It was pitch black. We had a fire. There was a guy called Adam who was on the guitar. He played like such a nice acoustic song, and we all sort of, when we felt like we needed to, was to go up and burn it and like throw it in there. And I was like, hearing that makes it sound, I was like, it's some insane cult retreat, but like,
It's so
it
powerful.
when you say it to someone, they sound crazy, but
Yeah.
then when you actually do it, you're like, oh, this actually has some sort of, you give it meaning in that moment.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I mean, half the time, like, we've got thoughts that are like at the front of our head, and then we've got thoughts from like things that have happened in the past that play a massive impact in our lives.
Yeah.
But we never think of them, or we never do anything to bring them out. I mean, there was last year, it was a sunny day, I was sitting in the garden and I was going through this inner child workbook that I'd bought. And there was a question about my childhood. So I sat and I closed my eyes and like I read the question and I was like, okay, I'm going to write this. The weirdest experience I've ever had. Like my eyes went blurry and I was sobbing. and I was writing down, but it looked like a child's writing. I was writing properly in my head, like I was writing properly, but this, when I finished, it was like a child had wrote on this page.
Wow.
And it was as if a child was writing it. The weirdest experience. But like, I read it afterwards and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, I didn't realize that was inside of me until I sat and in silence, literally just listening to the birds chirping away. And I was like, this is crazy. It's so beneficial. Like, everyone has a lot of healing to do. You never finished healing. There's always something you can do.
Yeah, it's like you never self-developed. Like, that's why they call meditation a practice, because you never master it.
Literally.
You just practice it. But it is powerful to look inside. What is there any insights that you would like to share about what sort of anything that you can share, rather that you're comfortable sharing, that came up while you were doing these practices? Anything that you learned about yourself where you're like, oh, that's why I do this?
Oh, there's so much. I mean, I do it all the time anyways now, like consciously, sorry, where I could be feeling, say I'm feeling insecure about something. And I'll think to myself, I'm like, well, why do I feel insecure? Instead of giving into this, like, oh, I feel so insecure, oh, I feel awful today, and like continuing my day in that such like a negative mindset.
Yeah.
I ask myself, why do I feel like this? What's causing me to feel like this?
Yes.
And I can literally trace it back to exactly the point where it is. So like, meditation has taught me to do that, which is so beneficial. Like, your friend could trigger you, or someone could trigger you, and you're like, instead of just freaking out about it, you think back, why am I feeling like this? What's caused me to feel like this? Has someone in the past done something similar that made me feel the same way? And actually, the feelings that I'm feeling right now aren't fully the feelings of the events of today, but they're actually just feelings brought up from the past. It's very deep.
That was a mic drop right there, wasn't it? If we could drop these mics, we would, yeah. It is interesting. I mean, one of the things I spoke about, I think, when I had Anthony Hutton on, was one of the things that I realized about myself was everything when I was a kid, to everyone else that I loved, was boring. Right? It wasn't cool to be into comic books. It wasn't cool to like video games. So anytime I would be like, someone's talking about football, or whatever, like the lads talking about football, I don't give a fuck about football. I said this yesterday, I'd rather staple my balls to the floor than watch football. I fucking hate it, right? But
that's a bold statement.
Yeah, I will do it. If you challenge me, I'll do it. But welcome to Jackass, yeah. But yeah, everything that I loved when I was a kid was boring to everyone else. Even sometimes my parents would, you know when your kids like yabbering on about something and you tell them to shut the fuck up. Feelings. Yeah, but that's just, they're doing the dishes or they're busy, and you're like, oh, I want to talk about this fucking video game. And they're like, kid, shut the fuck up. They never said it like that, but you know what I mean? I got the impression from everyone that I was boring. Yeah. Right? And I feel like part of that plays into why I do a lot of video creation now and why I talk a lot. And I'm like, am I just battling that inner child? Am I just battling all the people that told me to shut up? Like,
you got maybe all the words coming out of your mouth now.
Yeah. I'm like, not boring now, am I, motherfuckers? But you know what I mean? It's like, you can relate it to that. Yeah. I don't know whether I'm right, and I don't plan on changing it, but at first it came out as an aggression. It came out as like, all my earlier videos were rants. Yeah. Yeah, they were like ranting about motivation, ranting about positivity. Now I'm a lot more calmer. I've come to terms with the fact that I was just getting some anger off my chest about that. And now I'm a lot calmer. But you don't get that realization until you do the deep work. You meditate on it, you write stuff down. It's a deep process, and I don't think everyone's ready for it. But
yeah, I mean, I think people are ready for it. The thing is, you start looking into it and you start opening yourself up, and you fall down the hole. Like, you start doing it and then you can't stop.
Yeah, once you open Pandora's box,
it's like you go through spiritual awakenings, you go through dark nights of the soul, like you go through like these really tough and dark times where you're like, why do I feel like this? But it's the higher powers, the divine, whoever you might believe in, is guiding, or your higher self are guiding you to be your best version of yourself in this timeline or life. Now that sounds wild.
Yeah, I like it. Maybe you need to start doing these tarot readings and influencer stuff like this on OF as well. People are paying you for spiritual advice. That's what you want. So you mentioned the word divination to me. Now, to me, that is the class in Harry Potter with the tea leaves. But I don't know much about it. I didn't look it up. Right. So I want you to tell me what it is and whether I'm going to go home and do it tonight.
Okay, so divination is any tool that you can use to connect with the divine. So the divine being whoever you want. It can be anyone. But
Okay.
we'll say higher power, universe, whatever, right?
Okay.
So it can be tea leaves. So, you know, the cups when you drink the tea and then you pour the rest out and it's got a pattern on the bottom.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that is right. Tarot cards, oracle cards, them rods that move,
Okay. Yeah.
Ouija boards, pendulums. I mean, you can sit and listen. Like, you've got your intuition, you've got like all your clairs, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, stuff like that, which all connect you to the divine.
Interesting. So
So interesting.
yeah, I'm not religious, but I'm, what do you call it, agnostic, where you're open to the concept of it and you don't shit on people's belief. I'm not like fully atheist, because like there's times in my life where things have just lined up and I'll just have some gratitude for something out there, whether it's a god or, like you said, the universe, some higher power, like just like stupid things, like not like I've been saved from something, but like when you're in traffic and your petrol's like on the last mile and you're like, come on, just last to the petrol station, last, and then you get there and you're like, oh, thank you know, this like as if something's watching out for you, you know. That's kind of where I'm at with that. But I've never like experienced the tea leaf, and
I've never done the tea leaf stuff myself. I mean, I've used like tarot cards and pendulums.
So what is the deal with tarot cards then, for anyone listening?
So tarot cards are a tool to help pass a message across. So say if you want to have a reading about your career, I can shuffle the cards, and so do you know when you shuffle a normal deck of like playing cards, the cards should not come flying out. Yeah. No matter how fast you shuffle them. Okay. Obviously they can if you're like flicking them out yourself.
If you don't know how to do it properly, yeah.
Yeah. So with this is you call in whoever you want to come and help, like in your mind, or you can say it out loud, and you shuffle these cards, and I should have brought some, and they do flick out. And it's every time it happens, it blows my mind, because I'm shuffling them normally, and then one will like pop out or one will stick out the top, and you'll feel like you need to go and grab that one. Okay. And then you'll come up with a reading, and it'll be from the cards that you pull out. The cards will mean different things. So you've got like the ace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the cards will have different meanings, and sometimes you might be drawn to a certain colour or animal or something on the card. Okay. Which could mean something to the person who you're giving a reading to. And then also at the same time, you can listen to your intuition and kind of say what feels right. You might not say something that you would normally say. It could be something so random.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never had my reading. I've never done like the palm reading or anything. Yeah, I should have asked you in advance. I don't think we've got any in the office, to be fair. You don't really find tarot cards in gyms very often. No. But no, it's interesting. So I heard a dream of yours is also to go and live with a tribe.
Yes.
Yes. You're like, yes, it is. Make it happen.
Yes.
Why? Why a tribe, and what do you hope to get out of it?
It's so spiritual. Like, do you know, like these like the ones in like America, like the Native American tribes, they're so spiritual. I'd love to just go and just see what they're about. I would love to learn from them and to just experience it, because like in my head, all of these, like, obviously I would have to be selective on which one I go with, but like around the fire pit, and they tell these myths and legends and like the stories of how they became to be, they're all very spiritual. They believe that the land obviously is alive, and they get from the land, but they also give back to the land. There's like the whole circle of life, sort of. Think like Pocahontas. It's kind of stuff like that, where they're so appreciative of having nothing that they appreciate everything. And I just think that's really like, it's such a lovely way to live. It
honestly, I think it calls to a lot of people, and I don't think a lot of people have admitted it to themselves, that peaceful life. I think the more we advance with technology, I'm just gonna say that, the more we advance with technology, the more miserable we all seem to kind of be. It's good for a lot of things, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a technophobe or anything like that. Like, I do think it's great for a lot of things, but I think there's a part of us that will always want to be, you know, with a tribe of people and just chill. Like, it was a hard life to do that, but it was also very simple as well. You woke up, you went to go get some food, otherwise people died, and then you ate it all, and then you fasted, and then you just chilled, and that was life. There was no pressure to be a success in life. There was no pressure to make a certain amount of money. It was just, let's live and have some good vibes. And occasionally where family members might get ripped apart by a tiger. But that was just, that's part and parcel of the sacrifice you make for that life, But I think it does call to a lot of people that more simple life. I think a lot of people now, I know a lot of rich influencer people are buying ranches now. Like that seems to be the next big thing. Like Ty Lopez, Adam Lyons, a lot of them are buying ranches and living out there. And I'm like, that's the dream. Like away from all this YouTuber stuff, and like I've made my money now. I'm gonna go live on a ranch with animals.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like these like wellness retreats are becoming really popular.
It's like a small taste of what that life's like, almost.
It is. I mean, some of the wellness retreats are very influencer based, and some of them are also very spiritual. Like you get your hippies going. I have nothing against hippies. I'm a hippie on the inside. But like for the average like spiritual person, there's nothing that's like aimed at them. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of my dreams to own a business that does that.
I was just gonna say you could run one of these things. I know a few people that do, and they don't do it very well. So you can take over.
I've like really thought about it, and I know places that I want to go and stuff like that, and the stuff that I want to be involved. But it's a big job to do that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, I used to teach the meditation. That was just a local village hall thing. But I think a few people that came really got their eyes open to it. Cause especially the screaming that I mentioned, it was like a catharsis. So it was like, most people think sitting on a cloud, I've got a hum or listen to some chill music. This was like an hour-long meditation. And it was like, first stage was you amped up your breathing, you got your body nice and warm. I mean, you were covered in snot because you just did it through your nose, but it was like rapid, And then second phase was you would just scream everything out. You would hit the floor, like... Imagine doing that in a room. What the good thing about that meditation is when you do it in a room of like 100 dudes, the noise and the energy is insane. Just hear. I mean, I did it in a room. The most I had was maybe it's about 8-9 people, 8-9 dudes, and the energy there was insane. But when I did it with Elliot Hulls, it was just mental. But then the third phase was you just stopped. So you did all this and then you just dropped. I mean, you were sweating. Some people were crying, and then the last phase you would dance, which you would probably love that phase, But it was just things like that. People don't consider meditations, and I'm like, just try some wild shit, and you'll see what comes up.
Yeah, it's like people have a lot of like pent up energy and pent up anger, or like just feel like general feelings or emotions about stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're not 100% satisfied with the life, or like they don't feel like they're where they should be. So like screaming, it's like Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
How the kids scream and it builds the energy. It's like that.
I've never used that analogy before. I'm gonna steal it.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So
damn, I should have used that in my classes.
Yeah, no, on Monsters Inc. The kids scream and they build up the power things. Obviously, there's so much energy in a scream.
Oh yeah.
So.
You ever done it in the car, like where you're just in a car park, there's no one, and you just fuck against the wheel? It feels great.
I don't scream. I'm very like I might cry. I like a good cry, but I love a good dance, and not like actually going to a dance class. I'll pop on some music, turn it up, and like dance around in my pants, and like just there's no judgment. Like I don't care what I look like. There's no one else there. And I'm just, I've got my hairbrush, singing in my hairbrush. Like, it's any way to get any energy out or to, like, raise your vibration and doing something that makes you feel good about yourself.
Honestly, I love nothing more than getting the Hoover out, putting Dude Looks Like a Lady on and pretending I'm Mrs. Doubtfire. That is, like, my jam. I will move my hips in a way that no human could move their hips usually.
That's so funny.
So, you spoke on another podcast. I don't know if I'm butchering this word. Is it the... Akashic Records? Yes. What are they? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, mint. Love it. So what are they?
This is so...
I know it's very deep. Yeah, I know.
Have you heard of them before?
I did a quick Google search.
Okay.
This, yeah.
So the Akashic Records are the records of everything from the beginning till forever. Basically, the records of forever. That's
like a universal library kind
of.
Right, okay.
So like it's your current life, past lives, future lives in different universes, and you can't actually access, I'm saying access, through meditation or hypnosis. You can't actually access these, and typically the meditation goes as You stood at the top of the staircase. You take 1 step down, 2 step down, and then you arrive in the library. And then you stood. I'm picturing how I've seen it. So you can go to like this library's huge, and so you go to any part in the library, and there's a book popping out. That's your book that you're meant to read.
Okay.
So you'll pick up the book, you'll open it, and then there's a door that appears, and then it'll take you through. It depends. I'm quite a visual person when I meditate, so I see things. So you open up this door, and it takes you to whatever you need to know. Whatever. It might be like a little bit of life advice, or like you might need to see if something's happened before, or like it could be anything, and it's so interesting.
So almost like you could see into the future a little bit. Is that am I kind of on the right lines?
You could, but I don't think that would be beneficial.
Oh, interesting. Why?
You can change the future if you don't like how it looks, but that might be the future that you need to go through in order for your soul to develop and progress.
Yeah. Fair enough. I actually watched a totally random. I watched a film called My Old Ass. Have you seen it on Prime? So I watched it thinking the premise sounded good, and it was basically like the young lass in it. She takes some mushrooms, and then her future self appears. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this sounds like it could be quite cool, right? And then it was like the advice she gave was like, spend more time with your brother, spend more time with your family, and avoid this guy. I can't remember his name. It's like Kevin or something like that, right? Kevin. And I don't think it was, but I'm using Kevin as an example. I've got a best friend called Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. But and it was like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, I'll spend more time with my family and then do this. Nothing about winning the lottery or anything like that. Nothing like that. Or terrible. But it was like, avoid this guy. And then the 2 days later, she meets this guy, Kevin. You know, and she's like, oh my god, I've got to stay away from him. But there's something magnetic about it. And the whole film was that, and it turned out he wasn't actually a bad guy. It was just like she was trying to avoid. Because he died. I think they got together and then he died.
Right,
it was she was trying to avoid. Yeah, and I was like, that's an interesting concept. Imagine if you could know. I mean, the film is shit, but like, imagine if the concept was good. Like, you could speak to a future self. Would you actually want to change things? Because I feel like you'd get obsessed with tweaking every little thing. Yeah,
it's the same as like tarot readings. So tarot readings obviously tell you the future up to a certain point. And if you hate the idea of something so much, you can do everything that in your power to change it. But things change naturally anyway. So like, you might get a tarot reading and something might not actually come true because you've went down a different path instead. But that path is actually the path you were meant to go down.
Yeah.
So I think talking to you, I wouldn't want to talk to my future self. I'd want to talk to me when I was like, I don't know, alive.
I'd want to be the future self. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it would be beneficial.
I'd go back and be like, look, bro, that hairline, it's not staying for long, but don't worry about it. You look all right, Paul. Don't worry about it.
That's hilarious.
What advice would you give your past self, actually? I know it's quite a generic question. It's not actually on my list of questions, but yeah.
Everything's going to work out better than... It's not even advice. It's more like a statement. Everything will work out better than what you think it's going to. I wouldn't want to change my life as much as like there's been some horrible shit that's happened. I wouldn't be me today if I'd
that makes sense.
Anything about myself.
Yeah. Well, my final question for you is a question that I ask every guest that comes on. And it's a question you can answer. There's no right or wrong. You can answer it however you want. But it's quite simply, do you consider yourself a success? It's a big question.
It is a big question.
There is no right or wrong way, but it's entirely up to your personal view.
Yes, but and I am kind of. Hang on.
Yeah, you can sit with this. That's fine. Some people, just as a bit of context, some people do surprise me. Some people go straight up, yeah, and some people go no, and they've like achieved loads, and they go, no, I'm not. It's always a surprise to me.
I do feel like I am successful. However, I know that there's more success in the future, so I wouldn't want to like put a cap on my success. That makes sense.
You're a success to this point, but it's not like it's a downhill spiral from here.
I hope not.
Fingers crossed. It's the best we can hope for. No, I love that answer. So, listen, Kate, it's been fabulous having you on. Where can people follow you? Where can people subscribe to your links as well?
So my Instagram is Katy Shutt, so KatyShutt, and all of my links, including my Kinky and my OF, are on my little link tree in my bio. Excellent. And have you got anything coming up that people might want to be aware of? Any shows or anything like that coming up? No, but I'm in a calendar at the end of the year,
Oh, interesting.
so that'll be coming to most of the shops and supermarkets.
Oh, nice. You know what month you are?
Not yet.
Oh, what month
So-
are you hoping for?
I'm September because it's my birthday.
Oh, fair. Yeah. September's a good month. It's a
It
solid
is,
month.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. It's not like July shit. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. As always, please give us a 5-star review. No 4-star reviews. People still leaving 4-star reviews. It's 5 stars. It just helps push us to every person listening on Spotify, on Apple. There will be a option to rate the show. But as always, guys, until the next episode, take care.